Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'm working with you step by step through the ABRSM Theory grades. We're cracking on through Grade 2 Theory, so grab your Music Theory and Practice workbook, Grade 2, and we'll be launching into that. There's lots of information and resource available to you on my website. If you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets like this. They're available in US letter or A4 and they'll accompany each step of this series. All the information that you need to know will be included in this free PDF. Also on my webpage there's links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can find information about the books that I have available. If you go to sharonbill.com, it's all there. If you're working towards your exam and you're aiming to take this exam with the ABRSM, I've written a book, How to Take Your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's an exam technique guide and it's full of hints and tips and techniques for how to best prepare for your exam, and also how to best make use of the time whilst you're actually sitting your exam paper. So that can help you along the way. Give me a like, that'd be really encouraging, and subscribe so that you stay updated. There's loads more in store, but for now we'll just get cracking on into the next section. I'm hoping that you've had a little go at that yourself. It is a tricky one, I think, but it's always better to just have a go. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong, you can rub it out and try again. So remember, we always have to beam to show where each note beat begins, bar those few exceptions that we've discussed. So let's have a look at what we've got. We've got quarter, half, quarter. So they will need to go together to make a whole beat. They can go either way. This one needs to go up, so I suggest we go up. We're beginning and ending in the same place, so the beam at the top will be straight to show the general direction. Now, because we've got a quarter, half, quarter, we can't just run the line straight through, otherwise that will change the value of this note. So we just put a little line inside the beam to show that those two are quarter of a beat. Okay, so that's one beat dealt with. Now we've got quarter, quarter, half. So quarter, quarter, half. They'll be beamed together and all the stems are going to come down. Again, we've begun and ended in the same place. Okay, this is the tricky bar. So we've got quarter, 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 half, quarter, quarter, quarter. Now this is impossible to beam. We can't have a 3 and then a 1 and then a 3. And so what we need to do is we need to share this between the two groups. And the only way we can do that is 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters, and then if we tie those two quarters together, it will make a half. It's really quite sneaky, that one is. But there's no other way of showing exactly where each new beat falls. We need to show the two beats clearly. So it will feel like we're writing this note twice. We've got to repeat that note head twice. Because a quarter tied to a quarter will make a half of a beat. And so the stems will go up because they're all quite low in this group. And then here, we shall just budge that along. It's gone a bit too close. And then all of these can come up. This one can go either way, so they'll all go up. There's just a general upward movement, so we can just have a slight incline to show. And actually, isn't that so much easier to read? You can see there's beat 1, there's beat 2, and we've just shared that between the groups. Okay, that's the tricky one done, I think. Now here we've got a group of 4 quavers or 8th notes, and we can actually group all of those together We just need to decide which way the beam goes. Those need to go down. This one would need to go up, so that one's outnumbered, and so we'll have to just change that to suit the majority. And then that, of course, is on its own because the bar continues. There we go. That was, I think, a particularly tricky one. So you'll know now for future reference if you didn't quite catch on to that the first time. Okay, so I suggest you just try this next few on your own. Try and get rid of ties as much as possible. Just in that case it was necessary, but we avoid them as much as possible. Organise your rests to show each new beat as well. So perhaps press pause, have a go at these, and then I'm going to just quickly work through these last few exercises just to complete this section. So I'm hoping that you've had a go of that on your own. It's always better to learn by your mistakes. I know I keep saying that, but if you just copy the examples with me, you'll only passively retain the information, and when the problem occurs the next time you won't be so confident, whereas if you just make a few mistakes and learn it the hard way, you'll know it for next time. Okay, so here we've got a 1 tied to a 1 tied to a 1, which altogether makes 3, and so it's much easier to just show it as a 3-beat note in the first instance. So there's half a beat, and so these last 2 quarter of a beats will be beamed together to show that that's all one beat. So although this one needs to go up, this one needs to go down, this one's further away from the middle, and so we'll have to just go with that. That's a 1 beat, that stays as it is. So we've got half a beat that needs completing, so these 2 quarters will do that. And then we can see there's 1 beat. We've got 1 beat on its own. And then the same scenario again, we've got a rest, and then those 2 quarter beats complete that half a beat rest and show 1 beat. Okay, we've got 1 beat here. Now we've got a 2-beat note, but bear in mind each new beat needs a new rest. The only way we can use, a 2-beat rest, the only way we can use a 2-beat rest is when it significantly covers just half of a bar, and here it doesn't. We're sort of straddling the middle, and so that won't be allowed. So we need to show clearly where that halfway mark is by putting 2 separate rests, and then we've got a half a beat rest. There's the next new beat, which is completed with those 2 quarter beats, and so we can see beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. We can clearly see where each new beat starts. There we go, next one. Quickly get all the bits and bobs in place. Okay, so we've got a 1 beat tied to a 1 beat, so it's much easier to just show 2 beats straight away. That's on its own, there's a beat. We're counting in minim beats, and we need to reflect that. So there's 1 minim beat, that's beat 1 of the bar. These 2 halves will need to be beamed together, and then we can see there's the 2nd minim beat. These just stay as they are. If we beam those, we change the note value, so we can't do that. Again, those 2 can join together. The stem will go up because that 2nd note requires it. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now be careful here because there's the 1st minim beat. We need to show where the 2nd minim beat is, and there is the 2nd minim beat. So those 2 belong to this part of the minim beat. Those 2 belong to that part of the minning beat, so you can't join them all together. Although sometimes the rule would allow that, we can't because they belong to separate minning beats, and we need to show where each new beat starts. So they will have to go in a 2 to show there's that minning beat, and then these two will have to be joined in a group to show that they belong to this minning beat. So you can definitely see we've got one minning beat here, or half note, one minning beat or half note here, one minning beat or half note here. You can't join those together because they belong to separate beats. You're always trying to tidy up and show exactly where each new beat starts. Last one, here we go. Just copy this key signature. This comes up in the next grade 2. Well, also, so grade 3. That was a confusing sentence. Now here, although that looks like it's going to be okay because we know we can group those to make a whole beat, in actual fact we've got one beat here, we've got half a beat here, so this actually belongs to that beat, and then that leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the halfway mark in the bar, so they can all now go together because we're in a bar of 4, 4, and we're not beaming over the halfway point. Tidy that up. And so we need to decide which way the stem's going. There's the middle line. This one and this one are obviously much further away, so the stems will need to go down to allow for that. It's quite a big topic, this one is, but we're getting there, so well done. 1 add 1 is 2, so we might as well just go for that straight away. Nothing else needs to change. Okay, this looks unnecessarily complicated. We've got a half tied to a 1, so it's much easier to show that like that as a dotted crotchet or a dotted quarter note, and then this is on its own anyway, but it would need to remain so because it tidies up the remainder half of that beat there. Nothing else needs to change, and I think we're just copying now to the end. There we go. It's quite a tricky subject. Don't worry if you found that quite tricky. You have to really kind of just go over it, take it a stage at a time, and eventually it'll sort of sink in. So please do feel free to go back and just go over that again, erase and try again. I hope it's been helpful to you. I'm certainly enjoying working through this with you. I hope you are too. If you can give me a like, that would be really encouraging to me. Subscribe so you stay updated. And if you go to sharonbill.com, there's loads there to help you, so please do access that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.